As we continue to follow developments out of Washington state with this deadly Amtrak train derailment, we can tell you that we know there have been multiple fatalities. It happened, of course, during the morning rush hour commute as the train cars came off, crushing vehicles below on Interstate 5. Moments ago, someone who was actually on board that train spoke with my colleague Wolf Blitzer.
I mean, initially we were sitting. The train was going between 70 and 80 miles an hour, because we could tell that because we were passing up traffic on the freeway, and we felt a little bit of a jolt, and then at a certain point we could hear crumpling of the train car, and we were catapulted into the seats in front of us.
And so people were flying around in the cars. Is that what you're saying?
Thankfully, the majority of people were seated, but there was one elderly gentleman who banged his head on one of the bulkheads.
And the car that you were in, where did it wind up?
Yeah, so we went down an embankment to the right of the tracks, but there were other cars. The other cars all derailed. The only thing that was left that was on the tracks was the rear locomotive.
And was your car upside down? Because at least 3 of the 4 cars wound up upside down.
No, mine was right side up. But after the accident, we had to kick out the window, the emergency window, and climb down the embankment in order to get help for the injured passenger.
Joining me now, former U.S. Deputy Assistant Secretary of Transportation for Technology Policy, Oliver McGee, joining us via Skype. Good to have you with us. When you look at this, and we just heard that passenger saying that he was confident they were going 70 to 80 miles an hour because they were passing the cars on the interstate below them. What do you think may have happened?
Well, they were going exactly 81.1 miles per hour, which is about 2 miles per hour above the design speed of what this train was decided to do. But the witness was riveting, I was riveted to what he was saying, because this car that was where the injuries were less was in the back of the train, which tells me that the train hit some type of object in the front of the car, and that is saying to me as an expert that there might have been some need for positive train control, because that really senses ahead of the train what types of objects that might be in front to cause that jolt.
Positive train control we've heard a lot about too. I just want to stop you there for a second, because as we've been following these terrible accidents and issues that have happened over the last few years, this has come up again and again. So where do we stand in terms of which trains have it and which trains don't?
We stand probably about at a C if you tried to put a grade for it, because there at the local level there is a lot of need for additional money to get down from the federal level down to the local level so you can put this type of technology in. This technology takes months, sometimes years to invoke in all of the air train systems. So as we're trying to put this all together, it takes some time. And this was the maiden voyage for this high-speed rail system. And we put this in perspective. We're trying to call high-speed rail system at 79 to 80 miles per hour. Europe does it at 325 miles per hour. So that says that we need to do some serious infrastructure development and get more than just one track and get these trackings and these positive rail technologies in very, very quickly. Positive rail control is really all about communications to the onboard engineer to eliminate not only obstructions that might be on the track, but also to communicate so that we can reduce human factor errors that sometimes result, because that's what happens in these horrific crashes.
Right.
And these pictures that you're seeing is very similar to like what you might see in an airplane crash, except you don't have the fire. And more importantly, this was an intersection of the rail system over a highway system, over a historic bridge, which says that we really need to raise that level of understanding and public discussion about infrastructure development for these historic bridges, because we need rails to be guardrails, bridges to control all the collapses so the trains don't go off onto the embankments. And
you just brought up guardrails, and I have to say, in looking at those pictures, that's one of my questions. Is it's hard to tell if there was a full guardrail and whether or not, and if there was, would that be enough to stop a train at this rate of speed?
I think when you had two bridges in these big, large aerial views, and when you approach the bridge, there might be some railing on right over the bridge, over the highway. But it's the run-up into the bridge that we need to have some type of leadway to control. We're coming to a bridge, we're coming to a bridge. Let's protect the ongoing approach to the bridge so we don't have it to roll off into a bank with, or in this case, tumble onto the highway. Because now we've got the rail system intersected with the car system. And more importantly, we don't want trains, planes, and automobiles running into each other. That's why we need infrastructure development. And this is why President Trump came out today and made his tweet about infrastructure development bill that he's about to bring.
It is certainly a conversation I can imagine that is being had right now in Washington, that's for sure. Sir, appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.